So hello everybody out there in Pigeonland. I'm here on Zoom with Timmy and Phillip. We just thought we'd do a bit of a push on the 32 counties international pigeon racing program for this year, because realistically the numbers aren't in at the moment to run it. So that's kind of where we're at. It's all about numbers tonight. Okay, so just to give everybody a brief overview about where we are, lads, we've about 40-ish lads paid in so far. That's where we are, and this thing, as you can see, needs a minimum of 100 to run. Okay, so that means we need 60 more of you lads out there in Pigeonland to get on board. Okay, I want to be very explicit from the start of this. If this race program does not run this year, anybody that has paid in their money already is going to receive it back. There's going to be no if, buts, or ands about it. If this does not run, everybody gets their money back. That has always been the way. It's always what I've stated from the start of 32 counties, that if it doesn't go ahead, fellas get their money back. And that's it. So that's what's going to happen if this doesn't run. So it's really about you now out there, 60 more of you, 70 more of you, 80 more of you getting involved and making this happen, because there is a lot of talk about it and a lot of interest in it. But for some reason, money seems to be an issue. And we're going to talk about that later with the two lads here as well. Okay. So I'm just going to go really quickly through the race points that we have. So again, we have Carmarthen, Monmouth, Marlborough, Littlehampton and Brussels. And they're the 5 race points that are proposed for this year. And hopefully we'll get them off the ground and we will run. Okay. Another thing that was asked a lot of was marking stations around the country. And we've gone around and we've set up marking stations in the north, in the south. We have organised one for the west and we have one in Dublin. And there will be one in the southwest if the lads get involved down there. Okay. So I suppose I'm going to leave this to the lads really to try and encourage you out there rather than me, because everybody's heard me talking about this for long enough now at this point. And I just have a few leading questions for the lads and they can have their, we'll talk about costs, etc. at the moment. So I suppose really firstly, I'm actually going to ask both of them to introduce themselves. So Phillip, as you're on my screen on the left with me on the top, I'll let you start. Introduce yourself to everybody. A lot of people will already know you, but for those who don't know you, give us a bit about yourself and your background and maybe why you're interested in having a go at 32 counties.
My name's Phillip McCulloch. I'm from Downpatrick, Northern Ireland. Always had an interest in birds away from I was 8 or 9 years of age. Started off just with keeping out things in the garden, and then just proceeded then to start racing with the boys in the town. But really enjoy the distance racing. Just testing races, not just up Ireland's great racing too. Like I actually brought pigeons in there to try and compete up Ireland and stuff, and did no problem. But it's really the more I've done away with that again, and sort of, well, I'd still like to compete, but I'd rather now test the birds, different distances and different race points and different, like the one Michael's saying about there going across England and stuff. Like it's something really new to me, like even to try that. So, and I was happy last year even to win the first race that they had, like so. But and even friends of mine up here, like, you know, I've had a whole lot of boys talking about this as well, like, and I just don't know why they haven't joined in. I think it's a good idea myself, like.
Well, that's a good start, I suppose. Tim, what about you? Give yourself a bit of an introduction there and a bit of background,
yeah,
etc.
My name's Tim Halpin. Been in pigeons all my life, through fingers, the whole lot. Living in Blanchardstown now. I've took up this game of distance racing with pigeons because up the land it's too quick for me. I like the birds, you know what I mean? I like to get the birds out there, prove themselves. I think it's proper racing, in my eyes anyway. But everybody seems to be, as you said, Michael, sitting on the fence on this, you know what I mean? As you said, if you don't get off the fence, go and do it. You won't know, lads. You have to do it. We done it last year. Now, like it was a team. We have teething problems. Everybody has teething problems. But that's everything. You let it crawl before you walk, you know? Yeah. So what I'm suggesting is, if you go, lads, you will enjoy it. Like if you're into distance racing, yeah, do it. Just do it. Don't stand around and ask people. Just go and do it. And you will see the difference. As Michael is doing across the England, the Channel and all that, it's like France and all. If you've ever flown distant pigeons, like it's just the bulls getting a pigeon on the day, even if it's the second day. Do you know what I mean? They're 2 or 3 day races, lads. Not just up and down the land 2 or 3 hours, it's over. These are proper pigeons and proper racing. So if you want to have proper racing, get it going now, lads. Don't wait. Just get on board. That's all I can say.
Well, that's a good start for where we are. And I suppose really for me then, when I tell you lads that there's only 40 involved in this at the minute, what's your kind of, you know, where do you really feel about this? Because I know I've been up to the north for the 2 shows this year and there was great talk about it. A very, very positive outlook on it. And just here we are still, you know.
Well, I can't believe out of 10,000 maybe members in the whole of Ireland that you can't even get 100. Like there's something majorly wrong that we can't get 100 men to sort of, or women, to join in and give this a go, like to try and push it forward. We know we had bad races last year out of it, tough races, but you know, we need more members in to get more numbers up, and more numbers will help the birdage come across.
Yeah. That's definitely true. That is definitely true. What about you, Tim? Are you surprised about the numbers?
Yeah. When I thought myself personally about the way people were talking, like down to the market, we were talking, like everybody I spoke to, they were all, yeah, gee, it's a great idea. Like, but like they don't seem to be giving a little bit of a push there. Like they're all talking, but they're not doing anything. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And these are men that like they like their channel racing, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's up to themselves, really, isn't it, Michael?
It is, like, and that's kind of where I'm stuck.
Yeah,
So,
that's where we're all stuck, I think.
yeah, definitely stuck here, all right, with this. Yeah. So, like, really, then it boils down to, as Philip has said, money, etc. And I suppose that might be something that we can talk about. So, briefly before we started recording, Philip and I were kind of talking about the breakdown of the costs in 32 counties versus the National Flying Club, the INFC, which was just mentioned. So I'm actually not going to talk about the breakdown because I've actually done this already and I'm putting it out there. But I want you to hear it from Philip's perspective. I don't know if you remember the National Flying Club, Tommy, are you the INFC?
I am, yeah.
Yeah. So both of these lads are also members of the INFC. Philip in his own right is a champion INFC flyer. Timmy has clocked out of them all as well. So maybe, Philip, you can give us a break, what you see as the breakdown through both of them, and I'll add where there may be discrepancies. If you're not sure, I can add to it for you. Why don't you give us as you see the breakdown of costs?
Well, basically, what I've heard, we're talking to some of the guys up here, a whole lot of the guys actually, they're trying to figure out what the €120 is for. You know, they can't. They're sort of saying it's €120 to join that. It's only 30 to join the National Flying Club. All right, you send how many birds you want to bet, you know, depends how many birds you send, the more the cost goes up and goes up. But I try to explain in the end that your birds are all €3 bird, doesn't matter where they're going.
Yeah. €2 aboard this year.
€2 birds too.
Yeah. So that's all it is, yeah.
Sorry, wee man.
That's okay. Yeah, we all have lives and we have to keep going with them as well.
Yeah. But no, it's just trying to explain to them that the money difference that it takes them to send to all the races to see the benefit of it.
Yeah, exactly. And what when you talk about that then and that goes ahead, what kind of things do fellas say to you when you give them the comparative costs?
They don't seem to worry about the cost. It's the upfront cost. You know, they would rather just join for the 30 and then see how they go. You know, if you pick 5 birds this week to go to this flying club race and 5 birds the next week, or maybe miss the next one, you know, it's their choice after that. It's the initial outlay, I think, is what they're more concerned about.
Yeah, okay. You're breaking up a little there, Philip, so we're all in here. So I'm gonna give Tim, what? Okay, I'm gonna give you. I don't know, Tim. What do you feel about the cost? I suppose that upfront cost. How are you feeling? And if you compare it with the National Flying Club,
as Philip just said, like the £30 that you pay for the National Flying Club, like I don't actually many members is in it, Philip. You could probably help me out here. Exactly how many members is in the Irish National Flying Club, but the way we're looking at it as the £120 is you're getting 5 races for your £120. So if you put that down to the National Flying Club at £30 just for starters, break it down again, like what's it? £2 a £2 a pigeon.
€2, yeah.
€2, like, so I think it's actually for nothing. It's actually, you won't get that kind of racing anywhere else. You can't. Like the outlay alone, like boat, diesel, bed, put yourself up for the night, pay the drivers.
Yeah.
Like it is actually for nothing. Do you know what I mean?
I've just done
have a look at the big picture here.
And that's it. So I've just done a rough cost breakdown for everybody again. I'm going to go through this. So I just literally scribbled it on my piece of paper here. And just these are just the two costs as they break down. And it's about that upfront initial cost, as both Philip and Tim have mentioned. So the way it works is for the initial cost of £35 membership for the INFC, I think it is it £35 or £30? Which is it, Philip?
Yeah, £40 for all members, yeah.
35, is it?
And 40 odd for all new members, isn't it, Philip?
New member. Okay. So for ease of addition here, I'm going to say it and keep it in euros. It's slightly different, but we're just going to make it easy. It works out. And I'm going to say it's €50 to join the National Flying Club. We'll just say €50, okay, just for ease of addition. And then it's 120 for the 32 counties, the lower end of it, which is great, right? Now, if you race 5 pigeons in the 5 races of each organisation, so in the National Flying Club, you have the Skibbereen National, you have the Yearling National, you have the King's Cup, the Friendship National, and the Youngboard National. So the 5 races, okay? And you race 5 pigeons in all of those races. So it's for the Skibbereen and the Yearling National, it's a €5 board, €5 a board. It's £3.50 or £4, I think it is. So that's €5 board. And also for the Yearling National, it's the same as €5 board. So for those 3 races, it's €25 for 5 pigeons. That's an average of most fellas would send to these races. So that's why I'm picking that 5. For the King's Cup and the Friendship National, it's a tenner a board. Okay. So that alone, with the €50, the 325s, and the tenner a board, that's actually wrong there. I had that one wrong. The tenner a board for the 2 races is 150 is 225. I'm actually right. Have it right. It's €225 overall to send 5 boards to all of the national races. That's it. 5. That's reasonable, I would say. And you have your pools and all on top of that, of course. So that's normal. That's what you'd expect. So we'll even bring that down to €210 because of that price difference I talked about, right? If you join 32 counties, it's €120, and it's only €2 per board across the board, right the way to Brussels for the 5 races. And that means it's a tenner for 5 boards, €10, and that then adds up to €170. So there's a €50 difference without pools and just the boardage and pay for your entry fee into these organizations. There's a €50 difference on the INFC versus the 32 counties. It's €50 cheaper. Now that's really what it boils down to in my eyes. Yes, there's an initial outlay of 120 for the 32 counties and only 50, as I've said, probably 40 more likely euro, as I've said, for the Irish National Flying Club. But when it boils down to it, you have a €50 difference over a 5 race period that both programs are being offered, you know. So I don't think it can be made any simpler or easier for fellas to understand that, lad. So thanks very much for that. So when you hear that in your heads, what do you think?
It's simple. It's straightforward, isn't it? Like it's no rocket science. You're getting top range distance racing for little or nothing. Let's be honest, lads. Like, you know what I mean? Like from £2 a board to £5 a board, it's a big difference. And as you said, the King's Cup, a tenner a board. Like, you know what I mean? Well, that's a hell of a difference. It's a hell of a difference.
Well, it's not even sort of directed at the distance people, because them races out of them first ones over now, not London might be more, you know, with that distance, like, but all the ones before that wouldn't be really classed as distance racing. No. Now, granted, anything across the REC is a different race than upland. Like, that it's harder racing that everybody knows. Like, so it's going to make it awkwarder. You're getting that water at the end. But the way I like about this here, and it's only my opinion, when pigeons are coming from France, the way I see it is they come from France, they hit the coast of France where there's going to be peregrines. They hit the coast of England where there's going to be peregrines. And they have to fly right up the coast, whether it's by Penzance, Bude, Talbany, cross over into Dublin, up through into Dundalk, Newry. So my pins are on the coast, the whole of if they're coming from France, 500 miles nearly. So coming across, I'm hoping, my idea was coming across England, they're only hitting the coast at 2 points. They're not having to fly up the coast.
I hadn't thought about the peregrine issue around the direction, but now that you mention it, it does make sense. I was quite literally just thinking about them having a lot more, especially going across the UK, they'd be having a lot more land to run on before they hit water. So hopefully the theory is that they know home is that way and they do just, that was the theory behind it. Like, I never thought about that though, the coast.
Oh, but that's only my thoughts on it. That's why I like the idea of it, that they're really only
as valid as anybody else's, they're as valid as mine, but about why I went that way. Like, but I had never given that consideration about where the peregrines would be located. I never thought about that actually.
They're located everywhere, no matter where you look. The coast, across the land, anywhere, makes no difference.
Yeah,
they're everywhere.
That's true.
That's definitely for sure.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Another conversation that has come up, and this will certainly be in the pipeline for next year, so I'm even going to put that out here, is that young board racing, and that may be an option to grow the numbers. So I've had a conversation with a few lads, and they've said, why isn't there young board racing? And I can give an initial answer right now. The answer to that is that, well, it was never considered to have young board racing because racing young boards, we don't ever go further than Talbany for most of our organizations. And it's only Penzance for the INFC for the yearling national. Every other organization doesn't even go those distances. So that's really why there was no young boards even in consideration here. Now, that being said, there is an option there if the numbers grow. Like, to run 5 races, this needs a minimum of 100 fellas. So there's no point me even saying anything other than that. So if we don't get those numbers, then there'll be another conversation about fellas getting their money back, as I've said. But if I got near those numbers, we could possibly drop a race or two and add in a young board race. But that would be a conversation that I will have as 32 counties with lads that have paid their money in at the time. So really, I'm looking to have numbers solidified in the next 2 weeks. And if we don't have numbers solidified in the next 2 weeks, I'll have to pull the plug for this year. That's the bottom line here. So, it's really up to you lads out there to get involved. I'll go back to numbers. That's all it takes, lads. No organization can run without numbers. Feedback, as I've said before, has come in to say we need more numbers, we need more boardage. I've agreed with all of it, but that only happens with you lads getting involved. So for forward planning, it may be a case of next year there will be enough, because this isn't going away. 32 counties isn't going away, even if it doesn't run this year. But there may be an option of 3 races across the UK and 2 young board races, or that ilk, for the same €120. The €300 will just be scrapped completely because there's just been virtually no interest in it. What would you guys think of that? Like, for okay, well, even a conversation can be had with the numbers this year around what to do, but certainly for next year to have 3 UK races and two young board races out of the UK, obviously, as well, maybe possibly Carmarthen and Marlborough or something like that to give a bit of distance. Would that be a runner, do you think?
Well, Philip, I'll let you have a go at that first.
Well, to be honest, I don't race that much at young ones. I give them a couple of races and put them by. I don't have them in the dark or anything like that. So it depends what time of the year and whether they're molten and stuff, they fell apart at that stage maybe or something, so it mightn't appeal to me, but the other people, I know a lot of people do be on the dark and stuff and even it might tempt me to put a few in the dark or put half of them in the dark or something to try it.
Yeah. I think myself personally, I think it will draw in more people, like, you know what I mean? Because there is people out there, they like to try their youngsters across the channel, like, you know what I mean? And if you did get 2 young boy races onto that program and drop 2 old boards even, do you know what I mean?
That's what you'd
I
have.
think you will draw in more.
Yeah.
I
Look,
definitely think you'll draw in more people.
You could drop the likes of Brussels to get people on board.
Yeah.
Maybe add it on again, you know, once you get the numbers up.
so do you think
Exactly.
the likes of Brussels is scaring people away? Because personally, I would have looked at that UK. I know Brussels is a step too far for a lot of people. Now that's not an issue, but I would have thought the UK racing alone. That's why I put the bigger money on race number 4 out of Littlehampton, because I would have thought the sprint world in Ireland would have actually accepted that kind of challenge, you know, to really have a go at this.
Well, I think that's why I joined it, is for the distance, like, you know, the Brussels that's to get pigeonhole out of Brussels. That's a goal, like, you know what I mean? That's what it's all about. Like, no point putting them on your doorstep, is there?
Yeah, that's what we're up against, isn't it? You know, what about you, Philip?
Yeah.
I can't understand why there hasn't been more of a draw because of the UK racing. Never mind Brussels, like, you know.
Yeah.
Look, when you told me there was only 40 in, I couldn't believe it. I was really thinking you were going to say 70 and above, at least. And this was just this here, or this was just to get more people, give it the extra wee push to get to the 100.
Yeah. That was the general outlook outside of everybody was talking about it, like, you know.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, Fanchers, they talk an awful lot. When it comes to money, it's a different story, lads. You know what I mean?
And look, you know, I can appreciate that, especially with the cost of living as it is at the moment, especially between Ireland, England, and the world in general. But like the Northern Ireland, and the UK, costs are through the roof on everything. Everything has gone nuts at the moment. And that's why even the option for this is pay it on the drip, pay it before time, so nobody's getting €120 because sometimes
that makes the 120 sound better, doesn't it? The way things, the inflation and everything.
Topic, you know.
Yeah.
I'm
like 120 quid, lad, as you said, it is for nothing. Like, everything's taken on board, like, you know.
You hear people saying it's dear and it's costing this and it's costing that, but like I'm guilty of it myself. If somebody puts a pigeon up for €250 or €200, you know, you're not, and it might breed you nothing, and you know, but still flipping, you still try it. Like
I was guilty.
That's off one of you. This is off one of because you bred across the post race for bonus ball. Do bonus ball in while, will.
Hang on, Tim. You're breaking up there. Your Wi-Fi has gone haywire. Nobody can hear you. You're back there. Here, say hello. There we go. We can barely hear you.
Bonus ball is.
There you go. I can't. I can't. Did you hear a word of that, Philip?
No. Bonus ball. That's all I got.
You do bonus ball, yeah.
Right. Go on.
Then.
But that's another. I mean, the bonus balls are another thing. Like, you know, I mean, I was asked to do a bonus ball for an entry fee into it, but it doesn't even make sense. But you'd need 100 bonus balls then to get them. You know.
But just do 2 English ones. You've 180 in. Like, you look at Facebook. All over Facebook is bonus balls, bonus balls, and everybody buys them.
Listen, Tim, I'm not trying to make work for myself. I've enough to be.
Know that, Michael. But if you don't work at it, it won't happen.
Tim,
just try it.
And that, I actually had that thought about a bonus ball, and it would have worked out. If I'm not mistaken, when I added it up, it was about €2.50 per number on the Irish numbers, right? And that covers the cost of an entry fee for somebody for €2.50. And that's okay when you only want to add 1 or 2 fellas and give a bit of an option. But when you're looking for 70 fellas or 80 fellas to jump on board,
bonus ball.
I can't do 70 or 80 bonus balls because I'd be killing.
No.
You know. So
I know. I was just being sarcastic. That's all, Michael.
Oh, look, Tim. No, honestly, I thought somebody said it to me, and I actually thought it was a great idea. But when I look at the numbers, if you're only trying to give somebody an option that maybe not be able to afford it or something like that, it's a great idea. It's a great Jesus, I bought a bonus ball last week for, I don't even know what I was supporting. I was just asked for, I just seen a thing on Facebook for Ronnie Williamson 6 young boards and ended up winning it. About 2 numbers just to support it and won 6 young boards off Ronnie Williamson. You know, I mean, just, so I make contact and so that's another story. But you're right, the bonus balls are great. And like Phillip has said there, when we talk about money, especially when it comes to pigeons, lads, and we are all guilty of this, including myself, you see a pigeon you like, and like we've said, the cost breakdown here, the €170 for the 32 counties for the year. And as Phillip said, if you see a pigeon online for £250 and you wanted it, you wouldn't even bat an eyelid. You just put the bid in, boom, gone. You know, and we're all guilty of that.
Press the button, yeah.
So we don't know what else to say to that. So before we finish up, lads, first of all, I want to thank you both for coming on and trying to give this a push, and we'll hopefully get a few more. Hopefully we'll get the numbers so we don't have to pull the plug on this, because I don't want to, but it does need numbers, lads. So I'm going to let you two have a word before I wrap up. Timmy, you want to have a last word there and try and clean the lads up?
I just hope they just listen to what we've been speaking about. It's nothing to do with the fees. The fees, it's not there, lads. It's not there. No sense of what the word is there. Like, you know, if you want to go distance racing, get on board. It's the only one out there. The only option, the only man that's putting it out there is Mick Feeney. Says there's nobody else doing it, and you'll be all cursing yourselves and kicking yourselves if this falls at all. That's it. Who else is going to take it up? Now that's all I have to say about it. I just hope you all listen and listen carefully. I wish you all the best, lads. 2025. Save yourself, Phillip. Have a good year, pal.
Good man.
Phillip, last word, go ahead.
Yeah, just say, boys, go on, get on board, give this a shot. We gave it a shot last year to see how it went, and all right, it was hard racing. It definitely was. Nobody can say it wasn't, but I really think with the numbers, getting more birds to the race point, it'll help them come across. Definitely will. And any pigeons that come back out of it, I know myself, my mate there, Dennis, he got 3 pigeons home out of the first race last year. And I think he sent 2 of them back to France and he timed both of them. So, you know, it stands by the pigeons too, I think. I think it gives them a bit of brains and a bit of courage. Or you can find the ones with the brains, maybe too.
Especially how Leicester did that too.
Yeah.
Actually, somebody else that clocked out of the Leicester race was Alan Knowles.
Yeah.
He down pigeon out of France as well. So, so it does stand to them. Lads, I'm going to finish up with this. This racing is done midweek. And something I did forget to mention was there was worries about clashing times with the National Flying Club, the INFC marking on a Monday. There's no clashing here. Phillip himself has come down here the same day as the Yearling National was marking last year. We were marking for London. And he got down, got his boards marked and went off. It's even easier this year. The marking station is with John Abernathy and Harmony Club up there. So nobody has to travel down here from the north. We have a market station in Dublin, we have a market station in Wexford, and a market station in the west. So that's going to make it so much easier for everybody to get involved if you do, which is what we want. So lads, look, you've heard from 2 other people rather than me harping on about all of this. And I am now going to leave it in your hands. Everybody out there who wants to get involved with this can get in contact with me. I am easy to get in contact with. And the idea behind this is to make it as easy as possible for lads who want to try a different style of racing across the UK midweek, which is something we have never, ever, ever, ever done before on a regular basis in this country. And I want to finish off by saying, regardless of whether the plug gets pulled on this for this year, not something I want to happen, but even if that does happen, it's not finished. There will be something offered out there for next year from 32 counties. We'll put the thinking hat back on and try and make sure that we get more in, encourage more fans. Okay? So lads, look, I'm going to leave it at that. Phillip, thanks very much for coming on. Timmy, thanks for coming on. And if you just bear with me there for one moment, everybody, have a nice evening.